today's modern times, many of us feel that women have achieved great rights and freedoms, unprecedented in all of recorded history. And yet, despite our many real advances, when I view the image of womanhood in today's popular media, personally, I often can't help but cringe. What message is being sent about femininity? Are a woman's physical attributes being emphasized as being of prime and sole importance? Or is she seen as an individual in her own right, with her own unique personality? When I am asked what feminism means to me, I often respond that it means treating a woman as more than a physical being. It means seeing her as a multidimensional individual who has spiritual, intellectual, and emotional strengths and needs that should be recognized, developed, and expressed. As the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, all human beings, men and women, were created for the same purpose, to fuse body and soul in order to make themselves and their world a better and holier place. The difference lies only in the different tools each has been given to fulfill their common goal. If feminism means seeing the whole person, perhaps Abraham was the first feminist, fighting to educate the world about the rights of women. Let's turn to Avraham and Sarah's story. After there was a famine in the land of Canaan, Avraham and Sarah descend to Egypt. Sarah is seen by Paro's officers and, due to her beauty, forcibly taken into Paro's palace. Only God's miraculous intervention saves her. She and Avraham prepare to leave the country not only safe, but laden with wealth, having successfully accomplished their physical and spiritual mission in the land. Let's take a closer look at the wording of the text. As Abraham and Sarah are ready to leave Egypt, the verse tells us, Abram went up from Egypt. Travel from Egypt to Canaan, the land of Israel, to where they were headed, is physically an upward journey. It would make sense for the verse to describe this journey as an ascent upwards. But the verse also teaches us metaphorically that Avraham rose to new heights after this experience in Egypt. His sojourn in Egypt enriched him, not only materially, but personally too. He was not the same Avraham who left. He returned as a bolder, stronger leader, even more ready to enlighten the world with his message. His experience in Egypt taught him just how essential his mission was and how much work he had ahead of him. His vision was so diametrically opposed to the rest of society. At this time, Egypt was becoming the most highly developed center of the world. Till today, we are awed by the Egyptian pyramids, and the Egyptians are known for their knowledge of astronomy and mathematics. However, basic principles in morality were foreign in this civilization, as we will see hinted to very clearly in the text. When Avram originally set out for Canaan, the verse refers to Sarah by her name. As it says, Avram took Sarai, his wife, and they went forth to the land of Canaan. Whenever God addresses Avraham about Sarah, likewise, the verse says, your wife, Sarai, addressing Sarah by her name. As Avraham journeys towards Egypt, the verse reads, and it came to pass, when he came near to enter Egypt, that he said to Sarah, his wife. But then, 2 verses later, when he actually enters Egypt, the text reads, when Avram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw the woman, an anonymous woman. Her name is intentionally left out. Similarly, as Sarah is forcibly taken into the king's palace, we are told, the princes of Paro also saw her and praised her to Paro, and the woman was taken into Paro's house. Likewise, when Avraham prepares to leave Egypt, the verse skips Sarah's name and reads, Avraham went up from Egypt, he and his wife. Sarah is now nameless. Her name is purposely omitted, as she is only seen as the woman. On the other hand, when God heeds Sarah's call and miraculously intervenes to protect Sarah every time Paro approaches her to wrong her, we are told that Paro and his household were smitten with plagues, al devar Sarai, because of the matter of Sarah. Sarah had 2 names, Her original name, Yiska, from the root socha, means gazes. Yiska alluded to Sarah's gift of divine inspiration, for which she could gaze into the future. It also alluded to her beauty, and how everyone enjoyed gazing and staring at her beauty. Rashi explains, Yiska refers to Sarah, since she gazes with divine spirit, and everyone gazes at her beauty. Sarah, on the other hand, was the name given to her by her husband Avram, and means my princess and superior. Avram recognized Sarah's superior spiritual characteristics, attributes that in many ways superseded even his own enormous greatness. Avraham calls her Sarai, to acknowledge and point out her spiritual greatness. But Sarah was seen as this prominent superior being only as long as they were in Canaan. From the moment that they crossed the border into the morally depraved Egypt, Sarah is no longer recognized for her spiritual abilities, her leadership, her talents, or her keen prophetic capabilities. In the Egyptian society, women were looked at only from one perspective, whether they were physically attractive. Therefore, the Egyptians were punished al dvar Sarai, on the matter of Sarah, because of how they treated this great woman. They were punished for degrading Sarah by looking only at her external beauty and treating her as some kind of an anonymous woman whose only significance was her physical form. That was the difference between the community of Avraham and the Egyptian community. Avraham regarded his wife as Sarai, my ruler. His only reference to her beauty came as they were about to enter Egypt, and her beauty posed a threat to their lives. Avram realized that while physical beauty may only be skin deep, what lay beyond Sarah's outward beauty was the beauty of her soul. To Avraham, she was not some anonymous pretty face. She was Sarai, his ruler and superior. Avraham did not tell her what to do. On the contrary, she led him. In her prophetic abilities and in her intimate communication with God, she was his superior and teacher. She was not only beautiful physically, but she was a spiritual giant. Avraham realized, too, his interdependence on her to reach their joint spiritual goals. Only together could they achieve their mission of reaching out and educating the world with their united ideals. Our careful analysis of the text teaches us how to view another human being. Even in modern times, when we have reached unprecedented advances in the treatment of women, the story challenges our value system. What do you see when you look at a woman? And how do you view another human being? Do you only see their outward physical attributes, or do you look deeper to see the whole individual, including the beauty and enormous depth of their godly soul? Let's review. Yiska means gaze. Sarah was originally called this name for two reasons. One, she had the ability to gaze with divine inspiration. Or two, people gazed and stared at her extraordinary beauty. Avraham gave Sarah the name Sarai, which means princess or superior. He was alluding to her spiritual abilities, which were superior to his own. In naming her so, he was teaching those around him to look at her as an entire being with superior spiritual capabilities. When Avraham was in Canaan, Sarah is referred to by her name as Sarah, wife of Avraham. But then in Egypt, Sarah's name is omitted. She becomes an anonymous woman because to the Egyptians, she is only seen for her external beauty and not as a real person with enormous spiritual capabilities. When God comes to save Sarah from Paro, it refers to God's punishing the Egyptian on account of Dvar Sarah, the matter of taking Sarah, the superior spiritual being, and reducing her to a mere pretty face. What do you see when you look at a human being? Only an external body, or do you see beyond to their godly soul?